This is a review of my Sinn 103 chronograph. I purchased this watch 3 or 4 months ago from watchbuys.com. I've been wearing it pretty much every day since, so obviously I enjoy this watch quite a bit. I was doing some research on a watch that would fit the bill of a daily wearer, a tough tool watch that had a chronograph complication. I was debating heavily between this particular watch and an Omega Speedmaster Professional or Moonwatch. This one is less than half the price of a Speedmaster. I think a Speedmaster is $4,500. This was just under $2,000. But for my purposes, this watch was a better overall piece for what I needed. So we'll take a closer look. The case of this watch is 41 millimeters diameter, excluding the crown and the chronograph pushers. The lug-to-lug distance, I'm not too sure. I think it's 47 millimeters, which is fine. It's not too long. The lug width is 20 millimeters, and I got the watch on the stainless steel bracelet, which I always think is a good idea because you can always change it out to whatever, a leather strap or a NATO later on for much cheaper. The dial has quite a bit going on, but I think it's well balanced. The Arabic numerals at 1 and 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. It's pretty symmetric, which is nice given all the other things going on the dial. The movement in this watch, it's a Valjoux 7750. If you're familiar with watch dial layouts, you can see that is pretty much the case with the subdial layout. Here at 12 is the minute counter for the chronograph. This is the running seconds hand at 9 o'clock. You can see the second hand running there. And then at 6 o'clock is the hour tracker. It tracks up to 12 hours. And then obviously the hour hand, minute hand, and then at 3 o'clock you have a day date window. Actually two reasons I chose this watch, aside from the price obviously, over the Omega Speedmaster, was the bezel on this watch. It's a bidirectional rotating bezel. The Speedmaster does have a bezel, but it's fixed, and it doesn't track the time like this one. This is a friction bezel, like I said. It's a little bit hard to turn, but it's fine. It's not that hard. It goes both ways. The other reason is the water resistance. The Speedmaster is water resistant to 50 meters, and this particular model is water resistant to 200 meters, so you could safely go swimming with this watch. Don't have to worry about getting it wet when you're washing your hands. You could potentially dive in it. I'm not a diver, so that's not as important. The action on the screw down crown is quite nice. It threads quite nicely as you're unscrewing it, and then you're screwing it back down. In the first position here, you can wind the movement. The winding is very nice. The second position is a quick set date function. I'm not going to mess with that because I have that set. And then the third position, you can adjust the time, and it's a hacking movement. So you just put a little pressure. You screw the crown back down. The chronograph functions nicely. I guess I'll let it run for a full minute. It's a little boring, but just so you can see that at the 12 o'clock position, that little minute counter jump one position. I try not to run the chronograph unless I'm actually timing something. It just increases the wear and tear on the chronograph components inside the movement. So I don't run it all that often unless I'm actually timing something. So in 5 seconds, you'll just watch that needle jump to 1. There it is. That's pretty neat. And then the stop, same button. Reset is at the 4 o'clock. So the case, as you can see, it's a little thick, but the way that the lug's angled downward when you're wearing it doesn't make it seem all that thick. And a lot of the thickness, you can see the crystal on here. It's highly domed. It's made of acrylic, which is plastic. I think they sell a version where you can get sapphire, but I don't know, the acrylic crystal, I think it's pretty neat. They scratch easily. I've had this for 3 or 4 months and it doesn't have a scratch on it. I don't necessarily baby my watches, but I'm not extremely rough on them either. I love the way the that dome of the crystal distorts the dial. You can see there. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Has a solid case back. I'm sure you can get an option where you can get the exhibition case back. Not as important for me because I wear it pretty much all the time. I really only take it off to shower. I was reading that even though it's water resistant, the soaps and shampoos in the shower can actually break down the gaskets and affect the water resistance. That's not something I'm interested in doing. So the deployment's very nice. Same thing with the bezel. It's a little bit hard to, this clasp here is a little bit hard to pull, and this piece here is a little bit hard to pull, but again, I take it off and put it on so infrequently it doesn't really bother me. And it has a little diver's extension here, which is nice. Because the way I have the bracelet fitted on my wrist, it's a little snug. So sometimes I like to engage this, or rather open this, to put the watch on and off. It helps. One thing I thought was pretty cool when I got this watch is the way they have the bracelet adjust. It's these little hexagonal screws. Really crappy iPad camera, but you can see, and you get 2 little Allen wrenches, one to go on either side, one to stabilize, one to loosen the little nut that's in there. So you can really, changing the links, adding or removing a link is quite easy. Then there's a little micro adjust here on the clasp. So I have a pretty good fit to my wrist. I'll put it on so you can see what it looks like. I don't have a particularly large wrist. Haven't measured it, but I don't know. It's probably under 7 inches. But some people wear their watches low, like this, by their hand. I don't know. I just don't find that comfortable at all. So I wear it above this bony prominence right here. So I'll actually put this on. Give you an idea of what it looks like. So again, it's 41 millimeters. It is a pretty tall case, but like I said, when it's on it, I have it adjusted pretty well so it's not flopping anywhere on my wrist. Yeah, but I don't think it's too big or too small. There is another version in this family. I think it's the Sinn 356 Flieger chronograph that's 38.5 millimeters wide, and it doesn't have a bezel, or a rotating bezel at least, and looks pretty much the dial's the exact same. That might be better for somebody with a smaller wrist. But I think the rotating bezel is neat because if you don't want to run the chronograph, sort of like a diver's bezel, or it is a diver's bezel. So you line that little triangle to the minute hand, and then you can track, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever you want to do. You don't have to run the chronograph. It's just an added feature that I find pretty neat. Yeah. So I highly recommend this watch. I've flipped a lot of watches in the past couple years, but I think this one's going to stay for quite some time, hopefully. I have this watch for forever, or as long as I'm alive. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.